Good evening, spooks and spookettes. Count Drahoon here, and it is time for yet another feature of Fright. This evening, it's a little different, in case you couldn't already tell. We are streaming this live via Zoom via our YouTube channel, and this evening we will be performing a double feature of radio plays filled with fun, fright, and phenomena, adapted from the minds of the best horror writers from across the pond. This is why we have titled tonight's show our Celtic Terror Show. Before we dive into it, we are collecting donations for the nonprofit Hands on Nashville, a local charity that is providing cleanup assistance to areas still affected by the March tornadoes. If you happen to skip over the registration option while logging into the Go Passage window, be sure to go to hon.org to donate if you feel so led. We will also have the link in the video description once we post this on our YouTube channel. And of course, none of this would have been made possible without the help of our friends at gopassage.com for setting up the donation option, and our social media partners who are sharing our feed on their social media platforms. They include Spread the Positive Podcast, Keta J. Kemp, Anthony Rouse, Downtown Hotness, Monster Kid Radio, Jeffrey Reddick, Tennessee Horror News and Promotions, Ambition Threads Company, Hippie Haven Maven, Berkeley Creative Company, World of Woohoo, Rutherford Arts Alliance, Tonya K, and Trauma Entertainment. And now that that is out of the way, let us get into the heart of the matter, and hopefully you won't feel the need to drive a stake through it. Our first tale comes from the mind of a Scottish writer, whose name I am sure you are familiar with, Robert Louis Stevenson, the author of such masterpieces as Treasure Island and The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. This evening we present to you yet another of his very well-known works, based off of a very true and very dark period in history, a time in which Mr. Stevenson was all too familiar with. At this time, medical research was limited on its resources. This put doctors in an odd predicament, in which they would hire literal ghouls to go into the churchyards at night and rob graves in order to provide medical test subjects to study anatomy and disease. Tonight you shall hear the tale of what happens when certain channels are exhausted. Here is Robert Louis Stevenson's The Body Snatcher.
You've proven yourself to be indispensable. We will make a good doctor of you yet.
Oh, no greater honor could ever be bestowed, Dr. K.
Now,
the medical department has received a larger endowment this year, which means that I'm able to take on another assistant, and I believe that you are the...
See.
Well, as honored as I am, I must say, I'm surprised. I assumed Richardson would be the top candidate.
Richardson's a fine lad, but he lacks a certain discreet quality that we need.
Discreet?
Yes, Fettes. Now that you stand above your peers, you'll get to see how the sausage is made, so to speak. If you decide to take the position, of course.
Oh, of course, sir. I would be more than happy to accept.
Splendid. You'll be reporting directly to Wolf McFarlane, whom I understand is a friend of yours.
We are well acquainted, yes.
Ah, speak of the devil.
Fettes, have you taken the good doctor's offer?
Aye, I have.
Good show, lad.
Wolf, I'm going to turn the reins over.
Step over to my office, Fettes. Now, with being an assistant comes a few clerical chores that need to be done. Roll call of the students, grading papers, and some light bookkeeping, particularly for the specimens. You will just need to log everything in this ledger here.
Seems simple enough.
Aye, but it's important to remember that this ledger has to be returned to my office every evening. This is not for students' eyes, nor anyone outside of the university. We try to keep our associates and payments quiet.
You mean the university does not know?
It has to stay that way. You know that it is prohibited by law to have any other specimen besides cadavers and suicides. Unfortunately, those are few and far between, so we must resort to such measures.
It is a rather morbid business, Wolf.
Yes, but such is the price to be paid for the betterment of mankind. Someday we won't have to hire grave robbers and nasty ghouls, but for now, we must do what we must. Not lost your nerve, have you?
Oh, not at all.
Good. Tonight, we have one of our regulars, John Gray. He will be here sometime in the evening around 7. I'll need you to be here, sign for it, and pay him.
Very well.
The money is kept in the top drawer at Kay's desk by the lectern. His payment is 3 crowns, not 1 more. He should not, but for whatever reason, if he protests, do not accept his delivery.
Of course.
Everything should go according to plan. He will set it up on the slab in the lecture hall. You and I will be performing the autopsy for the first lesson in the morning.
I will be ready.
I wouldn't expect anything less. In the meantime, you'll take this stack of papers. The rubric is on top and you will grade them. Should be enough for you to finish by the time Gray arrives.
Oh, great. I will be sure to complete the task.
Later that evening, Fettes sat at the desk, waiting for his visitor to arrive.
That must be him. Mr. Gray?
Evening. You're a new specimen. Don't mind me, kind sir. I got a bit of a dark sense of humour, but I mean you no harm.
Do you need any help?
Oh no, she's light as a feather. I know what to do. There we are. Need anything else?
No, I will get everything ready for the morning. I have your pen, Mr. Gray, if you will just step over to the desk.
Of course.
And I need to log everything in.
And what would your name be?
Fettes.
Master Fettes, good Scottish name. I suppose you'll be seeing me around here regularly. Well, me, Mr. Burke, and Mr. Hare.
The next morning, Fettes and McFarlane prepared themselves to perform a dissection.
Now, gentlemen, this morning we are going to take a closer look at the central nervous system, particularly the vascular system. The final exam will cover a fairly hefty section regarding the nervous system. Fettes, if you will, uncover the specimen. I will start by making an incision just below the navel.
Dear God!
Gentlemen, please! Richardson, will you make the incision? Come, Fettes. What was that about? You don't mean to tell me.
You see her face.
The cadaver.
That was no cadaver. I know her and her family. They live in the house right across from mine. That's Jane Galebrath.
Well, Fettes, I understand the shock, but
There's no way that Gray got that body fairly.
You can't prove that.
Aye, I only spoke with the Laspa yesterday morning. For Christ's sake, she was as well known as the Castle Rock. She was as fit as a fiddle.
And anything could have happened to her after you left your house. She might have had an aneurysm. She might have had a weak heart. We will never know, Fettes. That is the way you got to rationalize it. It is better that way. You understand?
We got to tell Dr. K.
For what reason? I am sure Dr. K will tell you the same thing I have. Trust me, interrupting him on such a trivial matter will not look very well on you as his assistant. Think it through, Fettes.
All right.
Good lad. I promise, as grim as it all seems, it will be well worth it in the end for you. Come on now, pull yourself together.
McFarlane decided that he would treat Fettes to a drink after the day's lecture. And later that evening, Fettes was to meet him at the local pub. When Fettes arrived, he noticed McFarlane was sitting with yet another familiar face.
Yes, right, I mean, isn't that right, Toddy?
Wolf.
Ah, young Master Fettes. Please sit with us, won't you?
It is all right, Fettes. Gray was about to leave.
Come now, I just sat down. Now, if Master Fettes wishes me to leave.
I think it is fine, Mr. Gray.
Oh, but, Toddy here might take it out on you.
Don't call me Toddy, please.
McFarlane and I got a bit of a history together. It's been pleasant at some points and rather tumultuous at others. Oh, what a learned world, eh, old friend?
A simplification.
Toddy'd like to do that to me all over my body.
Well, if we don't like a fellow, we have a way of getting rid of him. Dissection! I apologize. I seem to have contracted a dark sense of humor. Mr. Gray.
Seems to come with this line of work. Hey, Toddy?
I told you not to call me by that one name.
Sorry, McFarlane. Poor subject for jest. Here, let me buy you both a pint.
Not necessary, Gray.
Please, I insist. I feel terrible about offending you. Won't you take me up on me offer?
McFarlane, I don't want to come between you and Gray if you are quarreling, but I think that is very kind of him.
Very well. One pint, whatever you prefer, Gray.
Thank you, sir.
What's up, Count?
Yes, Count?
What's happened? What did you do?
Choir scoot.
It says choir scoot right here. Can you see that? It says choir scoot.
Cast. It's supposed to say chair scoot. It's a typo.
Oh, that makes
I'm
a
sorry.
lot more sense.
Really
It
does.
make a lot more sense.
I was wondering where a choir fit into the...
Just keep going.
Yes, sir.
I am sorry.
No need to apologize, Fettes. It is just Gray. I let him get under my skin, and I should not.
You said you have a history.
Yes, it was.
Here we are, gentlemen. A pint for you, gentlemen. Now, how about a toast? To Auld Lang Syne and to new friends.
Old Lang Syne and new friends.
Auld Lang Syne.
Good stuff.
The three dined together and had a few more drinks. They could continuing as the pub was closing. They left. It appeared that Gray and McFarlane were intoxicated.
Oh, Tony, I knew you'd come around. Always thought that you're a reasonable lad.
I will make sure he gets home, Fettes.
Are you sure?
I will walk with him. I know where he lives. I will get him there. Just take his carriage back to the university.
University?
Yes, didn't I tell you? We have a specimen coming in.
So late in the evening.
Yes, unusual circumstances, but Dr. K was notified.
Oh, Dr. K. I haven't seen him in ages.
He's due to arrive sometime after midnight.
Midnight? Moonlight?
Does this usually happen, these late night deliveries?
Every once in a while.
Oh, Hare never does a midnight drop-off.
Just go now and get everything ready.
Who will bring the specimen?
Oh, don't worry about that now. Just get everything ready. Hop to it, Fettes.
Fettes returned to the university, waiting for this most unusual delivery.
Help me! It's a heavy one.
Wolf, why are you?
Hurry! It's heavy.
Here. I will prepare.
Fettes, don't!
It's Gray.
Remain calm.
Dear God, man, what did you do?
It was an accident. He was being surly. We got into an altercation and
I did not know the measure of my own strength.
So you say.
I am not here to haggle phrases with you, Fettes. We just need to clean him and prepare him for dissection.
I will not dissect this man. This is your doings. You deal with it.
Duly noted. You don't have to. I just need your help cleaning him. He has a few afflicted areas on his face.
Of which you inflicted, I'm sure.
Quiet!
we will clean him, and in the log we will cite him as a suicide.
I believe that will suffice as a plausible explanation. The bruise around his neck looks like a rope burn.
It would appear that you have thought everything out to the T.
Aye. We will leave nothing to chance. And Fettes,
Yes?
would you do me the courtesy of not mentioning this to Dr. K? I would rather this predicament stay between us as friends.
Of course. And you can consider this my last delivery. I'm resigning.
Fettes?
No, no more. I understand that the position entailed some difficulties, but not to this extent. Not such horrors or debauchery I have seen.
Dr. K warned you about seeing how the sausage is made.
Can't be damned. It is one thing to elicit the help of grave robbers, but it is an entirely different circumstance to murder people to use for our own demonstration.
do not put yourself above me. You stand on no pedestal, Fettes. Your hands are now as bloody as mine.
Say you are right. Say some of these subjects were won unfairly. You have known about them for an extended period of time, and you withheld this from the authorities.
That makes you an accessory. If I or Dr. K fall into the depths of hell, we will gladly drag you, book, and hair down with us.
Now, pull yourself together and help me finish cleaning our specimen. For your trouble, I do not mean to be so heavy-handed. Take it.
I won't take it.
More than? I don't mind. You deserve it, good lad.
That's a good lad. Not a thing more to worry about.
This incident left Fettes scarred. His attendance dwindled in the coming days, and his apparent lack of interest in furthering his apprenticeship has come to most...
Clean up?
pardon. We seem to be having slight technical difficulties. Oh my.
I think you broke McFarlane, Dr. K.
Well, that's what happens when he has to go talk to his boss.
Well, anyway, you were saying about your narrative cue?
I didn't quite catch that.
I said your narrative cue. You were
Yes, of course.
you were explaining what happened.
Yes, well, this incident left Fettes understandably scared. Fathering his apprenticeship has come at a most inconvenient time. Isn't that right, McFarlane?
You wanted to see me, Doctor.
Yes, where is Fettes?
Still malingering in whatever bottle he climbed into, sir.
Ah, poor lad. I was sure he had an iron stomach, but alas, it may have been too much for him. Still, there is time yet for him to come around. We do need to for our next assignment.
Oh.
Yes, I received information about the recently deceased farmer's wife, buried somewhere in a kirkyard just 1 county north of Edinburgh.
Why so far? And why not have any of our associates?
I only want people I trust to attend to it. I do not trust Mr. Burke and Mr. Hare to operate outside of Edinburgh, nor Mr. Gray for that matter. I need you two to retrieve this one so that we may have a specimen for the Monday lecture. We've run out, and I fear that the authorities in the city are watching the kirkyards a bit too closely. It has to be done.
What shall I do should Fettes refuse?
You'll see to it that he does not.
Aye, Doctor.
Oh, McFarlane.
Aye.
Where is Gray? I was looking at the log and I noticed he's not had delivery in quite some time.
I am not sure. His absence is as troubling as Fettes.
Very well, off you go, McFarlane. Now, McFarlane did not have to look far to find Fettes. He was at the closest dormitory party, right inside that proverbial bottle he'd crawled into.
Oh, McFarlane, if you are not here to intoxicate yourself and make merry, I have no wish to speak to you.
Come now, Fettes. I need you.
Unhand me, you bloody.
Stop!
I don't want your money.
Not mine. Dr. K's. We ought to retrieve a specimen from the North County.
Get Gray on it. Oh, that's right. He can't. You made sure of that, didn't you, Toddy?
Please stop calling me that.
What are you going to do about it? Are you going to dissect me like you did Gray, Toddy, huh?
Stop being dramatic. Listen, we need to get this specimen. It's important. We are out, and we can't get any in Edinburgh now. The kirkyards are too well guarded, and we can't risk other avenues. So we've got to go and get this body ourselves.
I told you I was done. I am done paying off murderers for bodies, for discarding evidence of those crimes. I am most certainly am in no mood for defiling graves.
Damn it, man, I am begging you. Look, I will triple the amount of money I got in my purse for you if you do this. I swear to God, this will be the last time, please.
All right. But afterwards, I am finished with medicine.
Fettes and McFarlane embarked on their journey the following morning. By their calculations, they expected to arrive north sometime around twilight, and they happened to be proven right.
I can smell the corpse from here.
Will you put the bottle down and help me shovel? I am not even halfway down the grave.
Ugh, and here I was finally getting your hands dirty, Toddy.
You have any for me? I might need a nip should it get cold.
Why didn't you bring your own?
We've hit it! Come, let's get it out!
They did, and they were determined to leave immediately for Edinburgh in the early morning
Don't fall asleep on me, McFarlane.
hours.
Or what? You'll drive us home? Huh. We should have brought coffee.
And more whiskey.
It isn't funny.
Oh, Toddy didn't get his nip.
Stop moving around. You're gonna. Damn it, man. The lamp's broken.
Sorry, McFarlane.
Go and get the other one.
McFarlane, you looked at the corpse, right?
Yes, why?
I am not sure, but I got a strange feeling that we ought to check a second time.
Stop finicking around. Get the lamp so we can go home.
Can you just humor me, Wolf?
Very well. Hold the lamp, I will open the coffin.
Well, what do you see?
Bring the lamp a little closer.
Oh my God!
So, you see,
Gray! It's Gray!
Boogity, 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 boogity.
And the last thing McFarlane and Fettes saw was the smiling corpse of John Gray. Whether it was or perhaps an apparition of Gray transposed over the dead body, it was enough for these two men to never cross paths again. Not too long afterwards, the crimes of Burke and Hare were discovered. The two men were convicted and hung for their crimes. And a certain Dr. Knox, our Dr. K, lived the rest of his life in exile from most of society and his chosen profession. Thus concludes Robert Louis Stevenson's The Body Snatcher. And now for our next tale. This one comes from the mind of one of Ireland's most prolific writers, and perhaps one of the most well-known writers in the world of horror. I am speaking of Bram Stoker. Maybe you've heard of him? He's the guy that stole my autobiography, passed it off as his own, and then changed the name of the handsome protagonist to Dracula because he thought the name sounded better.
Not this again.
What? I'm just saying, if I had the wherewithal to have trademarked that, I would have been, how you say nowadays, making the banks.
Count, it's been over like 100 years. You know, you just got to get over it.
He brings this up every time. He brings this up every time.
Okay, all right, I'm done. I won't bring it up anymore. Even though he plagiarized,
Yeah, we know.
Come on.
I do have to give the devil his due and admit that he was a pretty good writer. The story that you are about to hear is one of his better-known short stories. It actually has nothing to do with vampires, but with ghosts and rats. Big, ravenous, psychotic rats in an old dark house. Sit back, spooks and spookettes, and watch where you hang your hat in the judge's house.
I spent much of my life not believing in demons. That was, of course, all before the judge's house. It had long been vacant, and due to the grim tales surrounding the house, it was very difficult to rent out the Jacobean manse to anyone. That is, until young Malcolmson decided to rent the property in the spring of 1893.
Mrs. Witham.
Ah, good morning, young Malcolm. Did you like your breakfast?
I did, and I wanted to let you be the first to know that I found a perfect place to carry on my studies.
I still say that if you think that Benchurch is quite enough for you, then you are far too particular in your tastes.
Now, Mrs. Witham, I am grateful for everything you've done for me. The inn is superb, and you are a most gracious hostess. Yet it isn't quite what I need.
Oh?
Well, apparently, I was not the only one to come up with the idea to come to Benchurch to get away to study. No, outside of my window, I was able to see several of my classmates walking down the paths to whatever cottages and rooms they've rented.
Sounds like you're starting to become a recluse.
Only until my exams are done. Until then, I must master every ounce of knowledge in regards to all subjects concerning my exams. I must be a recluse.
You're such a charming eccentric. You, Mr. Malcolm.
I shall miss charming you to this extent.
So, tell me, what house did you rent?
Oh, it's the one that Mr. Carnford's firm owns, the very old Jacobean manse with the high brick walls. You know that one.
Judge's house?
I'm not quite sure. Mr. Carnford did not refer to it as such.
Yes, but that's the only one in Benchurch that fits that description. Dear heavens.
I'm sorry, is there something the matter with that house?
Oh, I imagine Carniff did not inform you of the history of that house.
Not extensively. He said that he had a difficult time renting the property.
That's because no one in their right mind would ever stay at second in that house.
Mrs. Witham?
It's too bad of me, sir. If you'll pardon me for saying it, going to live there all alone. If you were my boy, you'll excuse me for saying it. You wouldn't sleep there a night. Not if I had to go there a night. Not if I had to go there myself and pull the big alarm bell that's on the roof.
You intrigue me, madam. Why such animosity towards the manor?
Because that house is haunted, built over 100 years ago by a man, a judge. His name I've forgotten. You'll have to forgive me, lack of some details, but this judge was held in great terror on account of the harsh sentences and his hostility towards the prisoners. I cannot tell you specifically the goings on in that house, but from the information from others I have heard over the years, it is an evil abode. You could not give me all the money in Drinkwater's bank to stay there.
But my dear Mrs. Witham, indeed, you need not be concerned about me. A man who is reading for the mathematical tripos is too much to think of to be disturbed. Work to exact and prosaic kind to allow of having any corner in his mind for mysteries beyond such. The harmonica progression, permutations and combinations, and the elliptic functions have sufficient mysteries for me.
I'll say this, I admire your bravery, though I'm afraid you will soon that it is misplaced. Do you have a caretaker?
I'm not sure that I need one.
Oh, good. Then I will bring you over some meals as best as I can, should I not be too busy. However, if you wait for me too long, best you come back here to the Good Traveler for your food.
I shall enjoy the strolls over here. I shall like to endeavor to breakfast here as often as I can.
I'll come with you to help you set up your room.
Well, what say you?
No. I say go no further the hall.
That's fair enough. You can just set my bag down there.
I hope you have a good night.
I'm sure I will. Thank you, Mrs. Witham.
Well, will you promise me one thing, Mr. Malcolm?
Why, certainly.
Should anything happen, will you please ring the bell on top of the roof?
Why?
You can access the upstairs master bedroom, the last room on your left. From there, you will go up a flight of stairs and you will open the door. There it'll be. I shall hear if you call.
Curious. How do you know where it is if you've never set foot in here?
I know someone who has. Just ring the bell and whoever is with me will be here as soon as possible.
Very well, but I'm sure I won't need your assistance.
Oh, I'll pray you're right. Good night, sir.
Good night.
Mr. Malcolmson's first night started out fairly quaint. After his supper at the Good Traveller, he returned to spend the rest of the evening studying. Within roughly 2 hours into his readings, that is where I deduced the happenings began. The first midnight in the judge's house.
How can that be the solution? Devil is that noise? Rats? Blimey, how many are there? I suppose the little company isn't harmful, is it? They're cute little things, aren't they?
Mrs. Witham had called for me to come to the Good Traveller that next morning.
Oh, Thornhill, praise God you are here.
Mrs. Witham, it is a pleasure to see you, but I must confess I am pleasantly surprised to have such a welcome.
Well, there's a grave matter I need to discuss with you.
Yes?
There's a young man, Malcolmson. Good boy, he is. He rented a room from here at the inn, but he left and went to the home in Benchurch.
Which one?
The judge's house.
I'm safe in assuming he is not local.
No, he is not.
Has he checked in with you since last night?
Not yet.
If he isn't here by lunch, go check on him.
I surely will. I do not mean to bring up such grim topics of conversations, but I felt you were the best person to talk about the place.
No offense taken, Mrs. Witham.
Of all the stories I've heard of the judge's house, most of the folks speak of you. Did you stay in there? Didn't you?
I did. And to this day I refuse to speak on what I saw.
Was it that horrible?
I will say this. Before I stayed at the judge's house, I fancied myself a perfectly rational man, a man whose mind was totally liberated from the chains of superstition and the belief of the supernatural. That was my purpose for staying at the judge's house, to disprove the phenomena that was believed to malinger there.
And did you?
Either I am insane or I stepped into the very bowels of hell, Mrs. Witham. That house shows no mercy for anyone. Everything within the walls, the floorboards, and even the exterior columns are drenched in evil. No one who stays there is safe, especially young Malcolmson. You must do what we can to convince him to leave.
He's a clever boy. He won't listen to what I have to say.
Don't worry, his breaking point is not far off. Trust me. The second midnight in the judge's house.
Here we are. Finally. These permutations are simply unethical to science students. I think that is enough for this evening. I'm almost finished with everything. A couple of more nights, and I should be able to... It appears my company is here. There you are, little fellow. Oh, it appears that you brought company. Last night, it appears. portrait of the judge. It always looks frightening, right? Where did you come from? I didn't see you waddle in, you big brute. The thing is coming at me. Back! Back, you beast! Look familiar. Oh, a rat being familiar. You're demonic. You certainly are, aren't you, you demon rat? I told you to get back! Get away! I said back! Is it? So my textbooks weren't enough to frighten the creature? My mother's Bible was? Only one more night. One more night.
The next morning I waited in the sitting room, waiting to see if the young man would come to breakfast in the inn. Much to the relief of Mrs. Witham, he did.
Oh, Mr. Malcolm, I'm so happy you're here.
Ah, surely you didn't miss me that much, Mrs. Witham.
Oh, indeed. You look well.
I feel quite gay. Aside from some trifling matter, I slept quite well, and I think I am ready for my exams. Those permutations are no match for me and my charms.
That's good to hear. So, I take it you'll be going home soon?
Oh, in a hurry to get me out to Binchurch?
No, in a hurry to get you out of that house.
Oh, not this again, Mrs. Witham. As you can see, I am fit as a fiddle.
You say something trifling happened to you?
I beg your pardon, Mr.
Thornhill, Dr. Thornhill, psychiatrist.
I called Dr. Thornhill for you, Malcolm.
And whatever made you think I was insane?
Nothing of the sort, young man. She reached out because I too stayed in the judge's house many years ago.
Oh, did you?
Yes, and I have never been the same.
Well, I cannot say that my stay there has been eventful, but there does seem to be a slight rat problem.
Did you see the big one?
The big one?
You know exactly who I am talking about. The enormous rat! A very unusual creature. Most rats screech, you know, but this one, perhaps because of its girth or perhaps because of its origins, it seems to roar.
You did say something about its origins. Did the judge keep exotic pets?
No, that rat came from Satan's menagerie. I was wondering, did you get a good look at its face? Did it seem somehow familiar?
Actually, yes, but I couldn't quite place it.
Have you gotten a good look of the portrait? The one by the fireplace?
The one of the judge?
Yes, the judge.
I'm sorry, what you're suggesting is absolutely preposterous.
I suppose to logical men like us you are correct, but here we are. Two perfectly logical men recounting our tales of what happened in that palace of prepostery.
Perhaps it is a mere coincidence.
You are a student of mathematics. You and I both know that that probability is quite low.
Very well, we saw the same apparitions. Here we both are, unscathed as I'm sure. How queer.
You think me unscathed?
Oh, Lord, your arm.
This is what the big one did to me. He pounced on me the second night. In our scuffle, I happened to reach for my cigar that I had dropped upon seeing the damned thing. I put it out on its forehead. When it was stunned, I ran. I ran into Benchurch. They took me to hospital to patch me up, and I asked the landlord to get my things during the day. What I would like to know is, how did you get through the night unscathed?
I threw books at it. 2 of my textbooks, and then a Bible that my mother insisted I take.
Did the Bible hurt it?
Oddly enough, yes, but that might be because it was bigger.
That is proof enough that you are dealing with something demonic. And you need to leave.
That sounds an awful lot like confirmation bias, Doctor, and I'm afraid I can't do that.
Malcolm, please.
Young man, why on earth would you say that?
I'm paid through tomorrow. I will not leave. I will leave and return home then, but not until after tomorrow.
You can't guarantee that you'll make it through tonight. Please, I am begging you.
I have survived to this point. I am comfortable in my resolve.
Please, Malcolm, at least leave before midnight. That is all we ask. You can come here. Your room is still vacant, and I won't charge you. We just want you to be safe.
Very well. I will come to the inn before midnight.
Oh, thank the Lord.
We will wait for you here. Should you not be able to come, we will come to your aid.
I understand, but I shall be quick.
We thought the plan would be simple enough. How foolish we were to think that we could outrun forces far more powerful than us.
That should be, yes, that's it. That is the solution. Blimey, past 11. I need to go. I didn't lock the door. The key. I swear I put it in my pocket. Where did it go? Why can't I leave? Let me out. Let me out. Oh God. Where's that key? Where's that key? Let me out. Oh, midnight. No. Let me out. The bell upstairs. I can get Thornhill and Mrs. Witham's attention. Watch it. There was he gone? Big one. Where is it? Where is it? Is that rope?
Here.
It's you. You came out of the. Oh God.
Judgment is passed. You are hereby found guilty. Your sentence, death.
No, I'm off for mistrial.
Mr. Malcolmson, let us in.
Malcolm!
Step back. Malcolm, where are you?
His luggage. It's by the door.
Let's look upstairs.
What if he tried to go to...
The bell.
Ah! Oh, heavens, Malcolm!
Dear God. The judge's rope. It's gotten its last victim. There at the end of the rope of the great alarm bell hung the body of the student. And on the face of the judge in the picture was a malignant smile.
And there you have it, spooks and spookettes. I think Malcolmson may have had better luck if he had worn green. Because of, St. Patrick's Day, Ireland,
Just don't.
Really? That didn't land? Well, sometimes the jokes don't land. Or in this case, hang.
Oh,
that was such
Jokes are not funny.
Come on, man.
well, you know what they say. No news is good news. Some guys would kill. Some guys would kill to be hung like that.
Well, hold on a minute. Before we wrap up, Xavier, was that a big black cat that came into your room?
Yes, that was.
Why didn't you use it to save Malcolm?
He's pretty useless.
Okay, I see how it is.
I mean, one time I knew this one woman who jumped off a cliff, and I tried to train the cat to go and save her, but he kind of just went after a butterfly. He's a very good cat, so no pressure on him.
See, well,
If anything counts, it's your fault. You didn't put Xavier in that story. There's no way he could have saved Malcolm.
you mean, but the cat was right there. He was right there. So technically, he's an accessory.
I don't think Malcolm needed a cat. I think he needed an exorcist.
I think Malcolm.
Great, yeah.
I think Malcolm needed a cat Malcolm did need some pussy, just not that kind of pussy. But like,
Oh, wow. Didn't realize we were going there.
Oh boy.
All right. On that note, that concludes our radio plays for the evening. And just give us a few more minutes. Rebecca Rinehart is about to make her way onto the stream. And before I leave you folks entirely, I just need to take a few seconds to thank our sponsors. Not our sponsors, our patrons, excuse me. I've got to get the roll call up real quick. So our patrons, Yancey Pearson, Rhonda Gentry, Morgan Mitchell, Nicole Johnson, Lucas Lanius, Courtney O'Halloran, Tyler Laney, Brian Veerling, and Stephen Duke. Go to featureofright.com/donate to either become a patron through our Patreon to get your name added to the roll call and to receive other exclusive content, or go to our PayPal if you would like to make a one-time donation. All right, so that concludes the radio play portion of tonight's show. And I'd like to also take a little time to personally thank the Merry Mob of Mayhem that we have here this evening, Mr. Will Leslie, Mr. Alex Maynard, Miss Kristen Williams, Mr. Xavier Partridge, and Mr. Drew Hinds. You all did a fantastic job. And I know it was a little difficult. This is not our normal, it's not our normal arrangement. I don't think, this may be one of the only times in human history that a theatrical broadcast was done over Zoom. And I think we did that. I think we pulled it off very well. So
you mean we were live this whole time?
Why didn't you tell us?
You know,
Oh my gosh.
As much as we pulled this off, this usually comes with a free dinner, and I'm kind of disappointed that we're not getting free dinner tonight.
well, I'll tell you what, whenever the plague ends.
We're actors, man. We're hungry.
It wasn't, Xavier, it wasn't live, it was undead.
Oh, you're so funny, huh?
Okay,
Hey, at least never mind.
you are getting me into a lot of trouble with your puns, gentlemen. So on that note, I'm gonna have to cut you off because Miss Rinehart is on the other line. So one time before you leave, as far as things go, when things go bump in the night.
As
There
a-
Such
such
things.
things.
Toodles.
Right, and then they, I think, where is she was right there. Hold on one second, Spooks. Okay. Yes.
Oh, I'm actually trying to figure out how to get out because this is on Chris's phone and not mine.
It should be in the corner. There should be. Is there something in the corner that says "in the meeting"?
No. Oh, no, that didn't do it. Shoot.
All right, take your time.
Sorry, I really am trying to get out.
No, you're fine. I'm still waiting. So, while you're trying to exit, how's Alex doing? Is Alex doing okay?
Alex is doing fine. He is
That's good.
tired.
Well, you
He
deserve.
is tired because he has had a very long day today.
I bet you did, but you know what? You did. You deserve a good rest because you did such a great job. I'm sure everyone agrees. I haven't checked to see how many people are watching yet. Okay, there she is. All right.
Is there...
All right. Actually, I'm gonna go ahead and disconnect you. Okay. There we go.
You can like force me out because I'm trying.
And that's actually okay. There we go. Can you hear me, Rebecca?
Yeah.
All right. How are you this evening?
I'm fine. Can you see me okay?
I can. You'll Murphy's Law, you know, it always happens. All right. My microphone has a life of its own, so I may kind of have to play around with it a little bit, but other than that. So joining me now is I have billed her as the delicious, diabolical Rebecca Rinehart. And typically for interviews, I have long monologues sort of building up my guests. For this one, I'm doing it a little bit differently because I'm going to start off this interview by sort of giving Rebecca a hard time, which kind of goes into our first question of the evening. So I met Rebecca at the Rocky Top Horror Convention back in last October. And I was sitting at Jeff Wedding's table when he was selling his copies of Tennessee Gothic. And she comes around the corner and she's saying something into her camera and it sounds all pleasant. She sounds spunky and happy. And then all of a sudden she's filming the entire room and she takes one look at me, stops what she's saying and says, nope, and turns right around. So my question is, why are you afraid of me?
I'm not afraid of you. I just saw you were doing an interview.
I was a bullet you dodged. You treated me like a dodged bullet there for a second.
No, I just saw that you were interviewing Jeff and I was like, oh, oops.
Oh, okay, I see. Well, it's funny. It's funny because I think I had just finished up interviewing him. So I was just talking to him because I've known Jeff.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Okay. Well, that's what's so funny. It's just like a comedy of, well, I was going to say a comedy of errors, but it's a comedy of terrors. So, because, you know, we're horror people. So, but yeah, that's what makes the world go around. So, now that we've got that out of the way, I wanted you here tonight because I want to give you a platform to talk about your upcoming film, The Embalmers. So kind of give us a synopsis, what the movie's about, and what is your role on camera and potentially off camera in the movie?
Well, The Embalmers is a film about 3 siblings who have some magical powers bestowed upon them to where they can pass judgment on people after they die. And they are funeral directors, so works out quite perfectly. So I am the co-writer, co-producer, co-director along with my sister, Diane Fraker, who she was at Rocky Top as well. And we are both in the film. We have to do our Stephen King cameos. We are actually playing sisters in the film at one point, but we do not have huge roles. It's just really more for us to have fun. And well, the role I'm playing is really kind of messed up, and so I didn't really want to ask an actress to do it. But yeah, we're kind of doing everything. So right now we are in the middle of our Indiegogo campaign. And we started really strong, and then of course, you know, plague hits and you know, kind of has been a little challenging. But we've gotten about 30% of our funding through that and other avenues, and we're just plugging along.
Okay, so actually that was one of the questions I was asking. I was wondering how the crowdfunding was going. I think I had seen a post about it the other day, and it looked like you were in pretty good shape. So, but we
are. So at the moment, we started out, like I said, really, really strong out of the gate, and it was, I think, about 3 days after we started that everything started getting shut down, and people started losing their jobs, and so it slowed down dramatically at that point. And you know, I've put in some of my own money. And then also I have an OnlyFans page that I am donating all of my April proceeds to the budget of this film. So far I'm like about $800 there. So really, when it comes down to it, it is an independent film. There are definitely some places where we can kind of cut some dollars here and there. So, we're just going to make it no matter what, as long as the world doesn't end. And we're going to make it the best that we can.
This is like the 10th plague I've lived through. I think we're okay.
Oh.
But I've been wrong before, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a good thing I didn't gamble on Napoleon, because I would have totally lost on that.
Yeah.
So, is this sort of you said you do a little bit of everything with this film. You contributed to the script. I believe you also said with the directing and the producing. Is this sort of your first foray into that, or have you previously directed or written other projects before?
I've written projects. I have been an assistant director on projects. I was producing a film, and I had a falling out with the director, and that was kind of where this all came from. So I had gotten pretty far into the process, and I realized I kind of knew what I was talking about. I kind of knew the ins and outs. And then when that fell through, my sister and I had this idea for a while, and we were like, okay, well, let's just make our own movie. So we kicked out our script in about 3 months. One of our stars, Rob Mello from Happy Death Day, he actually is one of our co-writers. So he's been helping us with that. And yeah, so you know what? It's like, it was just like time. Just, you know what? Like, just go and do it.
Well, it's interesting that you say all that, because some of the best movies, and even some of the best horror movies, have come through situations like that. I was watching The Winged Serpent the other day. I don't know if you're familiar with that picture, but Gary Cohen, he got the funding for that movie, and he did the movie just because he got fired from another movie. He said, well, go pound sand, you guys. I'm going to go make my own movie. And his movie was actually a lot better. So, yeah. And then, I was going to say something else, but it slipped my mind. I'll if it comes back to me, I'll come back to that here in a moment. So, it's funny. You said something about a messed up role earlier. I looked into some of your past credits, and it does seem like you sort of gravitate towards horror. Some would say maybe exploitation. So this question I asked just about of every one of my guests: what draws you to those kinds of films or those kinds of roles?
Those are the movies that I love to watch. Those are the movies that I want to make. Those are the movies that I like to support. And as a podcaster and a YouTuber, that's really where I started with all this. Is I promote independent horror, and that's kind of where I've gotten my connections and gotten my information, and kind of gotten my my courage to actually make my own film. But I always just have a higher appreciation for a lower budget film. Because I do know of the trials and tribulations. I do know of the ways that sometimes not having a budget like forces people to be creative in ways that they wouldn't if they had money. And I find myself when I watch, I'm not totally against like large budget Hollywood movies, anything like that, but those aren't the ones that I really enjoy. Those aren't the ones that, when it comes down to it, those aren't the ones that I'm watching on Tubi. I'm watching Q, The Winged Serpent, like I'm watching more movies like that. And I think there are a lot of people out there right now who are making some really cool movies. Of course, we're all on hold, but some of the movies that I've just fallen in love with over the last couple of years, Cherokee Creek, Slaughterhouse Slumber Party from Dustin Mills. These are not high class movies. They are definitely, like you say, kind of exploitation, sort of grindhouse throwback, very juvenile, very campy, very off the wall, very bloody, and I enjoy them. Honestly, and I really like being parts of them.
Now, the production company that Embalmers is being made through, did you and your sister create that production company off of making Embalmers, or was this something that was sort of already in the works before you started the process to make Embalmers?
We actually, she was involved in the failed project that I was working on as well. And that's when we came up with Schwestern Sky Films, and Schwestern means sisters in German. And so we came up with that idea before this movie, but we had the idea that, okay, we were going to do this movie that didn't work out, and then we were going to do our own.
I see. So with Embalmers, what sort of, you said that you already had the idea sort of percolating in the back of your mind. So what, if it's even possible to answer, like where did the inspiration for it come from?
So Diane had this general idea about like 3 siblings who had some kind of voodoo powers where they could trap souls in people's bodies when they died. And it was originally supposed to be 3 sisters. And we just kind of like, when we would go to these conventions, like when we went to Rocky Top, that's like a 6-7 hour drive for us, you know, so we're in the car a lot. And so we would just kind of talk about stuff, throw some things back and forth, you know, talk about some of the friends that we wanted to have in a movie if we made a movie. And then when it came down to it, it was like, okay, let's just put this on paper. So, I mean, we kicked it out really fast because of that. We kind of had it all in our heads. Maybe not the entire story arc, but we had a lot of the stuff. And we had, we kind of had a predetermined cast, because I had already cast several people in the failed movie who came over with us to our film. So including Rob Mello, Andrea Collins, Alice Winkler, myself, and our friend Johnny Shandor, who is a wonderful 8-year-old actress who is amazing. And I cannot wait until people see her in this big of a role. It's going to be fun.
Now, some of the notes that I made for this interview this evening, I sort of prepped well before the COVID-19 plague. So unfortunately, my next question was, you know, when do you expect to start production? But as we've sort of deduced, we're not. Or I mean, or do you have maybe you have a backup plan? You know, I know X and Y didn't play out, so maybe you have, you know, Z and A or A and B. Working backwards.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of having a plan B, C, D. I come from the world of technology.
Plan 9.
Yeah, so definitely have to have a lot of plans. Our plan is not to film until September. So we still have that fingers crossed thing going. Sure. So that's when our principal filming will happen. We already did our teaser, which is essentially the opening of the movie. And then we have so basically some of the people who die, we have kind of flashbacks of their lives. And most of those have been cast locally with the intention before all this of doing some of those just like on weekends during the summer, you know, because we could get some people in here and not have to get like our main cast, and then just do our principal filming in September and just get people in then. So, I mean, as long as travel opens back up at some point, really, we don't have to have those kind of inset scenes don't have to be done during the summer. It just seemed like it was a good idea. It seemed like it'd be kind of fun. At least one of them involves a lot of outdoor stuff. But really, if we can get, if the world can start back up by September, then I think we will make it work one way or another. I mean, we might be pushed back a little bit on release, because we had kind of thought August of 2021 is when it would be ready. So that might change a little bit. Like I said, there are a few things that are maybe, anybody who's ever made an independent movie knows this, but there are like some scenes where it's like, well, we could rewrite that a little bit and save $500 here. We could rewrite this and use our house instead of, you know, this other location or whatever. So if we have to do that, we can. And if we have to, we can do another crowdfunding when people go back to work.
Sure.
I'm pretty optimistic about this. I'm not usually an optimistic person, but I'm very optimistic, and I'm stubborn.
Well, I mean, I think the fact that you feel that way is, I think that's just sort of the world telling you that it's your time. You know, this is in terms of projects, this was the right move to make. You may not be able to make the movie tomorrow, but you're going to make it, and it is going to come out. And just, you know, knowing how passionate you are about film and about horror, just from the, you know, from talking to you and just the things I've observed through your YouTube channels and the other things that you do, I think you're gonna pull out a great project. But for Embalmers, where can we contribute, or where can we get any updates as to, you know, how, you know, when things start to pick back up again?
Well, we do have a Facebook group. It is The Embalmers. If you go search for us, you will know you're at the right place, because there is a fabulous poster art of Andy and Alice and Rob, done by Mark Schoenbach of Sadist Art Designs, who is a wonderful
very
artist.
impressive poster. It actually reminds me a lot of the movie poster for Phantasm.
Okay, see, I was going for, and he is a wonderful artist, and he is just, I mean, I gave him a mock-up of what I wanted, and he just went to town and just knew exactly what I wanted. But I was kind of going for those kind of 70s, like dark haunted house type feels, with maybe a little bit of extra 80s flair with some of the neon, with the greens and the purples. But yeah, I mean, the poster is wonderful. That's a side note, but that is how you will know you get to the Embalmers Facebook group. We are almost at 2,000 members. We post updates there all the time, and we also post some other things. We have some fun things. We do some giveaways, and we do also promote and you know, each other's things. So all of us kind of, there's a lot of cross pollination with everybody involved in this movie. A lot of us are in the same projects, and so, you know, we do a lot of cross promotion with other projects, and that is also where you will find the link. So if you do go to Indiegogo, just search for the Embalmers, and we are there. We have some awesome perks. So all the usual things you would think of: Blu-ray, DVD. We also have that poster that I was talking about, signed by all the cast and crew. We still have some associate producer and executive producer perks. And we also are going to have a couple more fun things that I'm kind of waiting for until things, you know, get a little bit better for people financially, because I think people will want to take advantage of some of the cool things that we're offering, like on-set type offers.
Of course, and when your account gets more bullion in the coffers, I might be more enticed to
Yeah.
a couple of views in there too.
And also, just so everybody knows, I mean, our lowest perk is a $5 perk, where we will just give you a shout out on social media. So if you don't have a lot of money, but you want to be supportive of indie horror still in this kind of dismal time, go there. $5. That right there is somebody's sandwich one day on set. I mean, every little bit does count.
Yes. So, and I will definitely, I will have the links to all of this in the show description whenever we go offline, and then I put it out when it's out there on the channel in Infinity, and, you know, and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Real quick, because I don't want to turn you loose just yet, because I want to talk a little bit more about your podcasts, because it's not just one, because you have In the Mic of Madness.
Yes.
And then
SOBs Who Love SOB, which is it's actually just an offshoot of In the Mic of Madness. And that was what I was promoting at Rocky Top when you were there, because it was so SOB is shot on video, which again is one of my passions. I love those straight to VHS, shot on VHS movies. And I was there because Donald Farmer asked me to be there, who is an SOB director, and also Tim Ritter, who has become, I watched his movies when I was a kid. I rented those movies all the time from the video store. And then now here I am in my 40s, and I interviewed him one time, and now I'm like, he is a great friend, a mentor. You know, I'm, you know, invited, you know, it's like, it's weird to be invited to his house and like be filming scenes for him. My 14-year-old self never would have thought that would have happened. So, and Hugh Gallagher was also there. He's another big SOB director.
Oh, I hate to bring this up because I'm sure you get it all the time. You said you're in your 40s?
Yeah. Yes, I am.
Okay, well, I knew you were considerably younger than me, you know, me being
Right.
Well,
Just the
I
fact
was-
that I'm
okay.
still like human
But
and alive.
I figured you were like, I mean, you're a baby, but I figured you were even a baby. Wow.
Most people do. Yeah, most people do. I usually don't actually volunteer that information because most people will think I'm more like in my early 30s, but I have good genes. And my mama my mama looks like she's 10 years younger. My sisters look like they're 10 years younger. So
Well, and you
with it.
act so youthful as well. And there's nothing to be insecure about because, like I said, you're talking to a 1,500-year-old vampire. So there's
Right.
there's no
we're
way.
all immature compared to you.
So, okay, well, it's funny because that was the first time I met Donald Farmer at the convention. And I actually brought this up to Joe Bob Briggs last week when I interviewed him. I'm trying to get Donald Farmer to do a sequel to Vampire Cop. Now, originally, I volunteered myself to play the Vampire Cop, but I figured Joe Bob Briggs is considerably taller than me, and that would work better as a Vampire Cop.
Maybe. Yeah.
So I think we should try to do Vampire Cop 2, JB and the Count Electric Boogaloo.
Yes, I could talk to Donald. I'm in his upcoming film Bigfoot Exorcist, which is the spiritual successor of Stark Exorcist.
I feel like such a name dropper. He was a guest on the show back in February. And he talked about Bigfoot Exorcist. I'm really excited. When he was there, I bought a copy of Cannibal
Shark Exorcist.
So I have Vampire Cop and Cannibal Cop.
Mhm.
He mentioned Bigfoot Exorcist, so I'm really excited when that comes out. So so you're involved in it. That's a lot of fun.
Yep,
Okay.
and so is Jessa Flux, who is in the Embalmers.
Mhm.
If you go to our Indiegogo and you watch our teaser, she is in our teaser and she kills it. She is not in a good situation in that, but she was in his film Cannibal Hookers, the remake of Cannibal Hookers. And in fact, he was the one who, when I started casting for the Embalmers, he was the one that said, hey, you need to check out this girl. She's really awesome. She was in my movie. And yeah, so she's going to be in that movie with me and in the Embalmers.
Fascinating. Excellent.
Yeah. So Shallow Gene Pool.
Yeah. So I don't know if we kind of talked about it. I like to ask a lot of existential questions. Well, this one isn't so existential, but I know the answer to the question. Just try to keep it under 3 hours. What's your favorite horror movie?
Okay, my favorite. I've got to say two because it always toggles between two, and that is Friday the 13th Part 2 and Sleepaway Camp 2.
Okay.
Because I like the seconds of things, but those are just for different reasons. No, not really different reasons, just for a lot of the same reasons. Those are my comfort movies, the movies that I, can watch over and over and over. I could probably sit here and recite them. If you had 3 hours, I could act out both movies myself.
I watched your drunken commentary of Jason X, so.
That was not my finest moment. Okay.
It was brutal because I could see the anguish in you were trying to laugh it off, but I knew you were in pain.
I'm such a Jason's girl. I mean, that's my Instagram even. I'm Jason's girl, 1976. You should have known I was 43 then. But
it didn't register.
But there's something about Jason X, man. Oof. We just did that in the Micah Madness. That was the reason why I did that drunken commentary on my YouTube channel, Not Quite Final Girl. And I felt like I needed some extra support. So I kind of I reached out to you guys so you could watch it with me.
You needed help. Well, I watched it way afterwards, so I don't know if you felt my presence, and I don't know if feeling my presence is a good thing or not. So, but
no, it's just the fact that I know y'all are out in the ether supporting me.
Well, I did feel for you. I felt bad because like I said, I knew that was rough because sometimes even the monsters that we love the most, you can't always put them in space. It just
here's the thing. I'm just gonna say this one thing about Jason X, then we're gonna let it go. I had no problem with Jason in that movie. I had problems with the movie itself. It was never about Jason.
No, and that's a fair point.
Yeah.
Because a concept like that could work because it is.
Oh right, I was all in. I was all totally in.
Because like it's like not quite the same thing, but you know the film Wolf Cop.
Yeah.
Wolf Cop is a great movie. It's very outlandish, but it works because it's well written. It doesn't take itself too seriously. But Jason X, it's a movie.
It just didn't work for me. It works for some people, did not work for me.
I couldn't get through it. I saw bits and pieces of it, and it wasn't for me either.
Yeah, but every other one of them, totally good opinion of. So, you know, I mean, if they give you 12 and there's one that you don't like, that's pretty good.
Oh no, absolutely. And you know, there's 40 Godzilla movies, and only 3 of them I'm not a huge fan of. So
yeah, there are going to be some clunkers, no matter what, no matter how much you like the characters or the concept.
Now, do you have a favorite exploitation movie?
Yeah,
horror and exploitation together.
Well, I don't know. I guess everybody has a different idea of like what exploitation means.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess I have like a few in mind that I know that other people call exploitation. I wouldn't really call them that. I'm a big fan of Cannibal Holocaust. And then one of the first horror movies that I ever saw, if not the first, I was very young, very, very young. And some irresponsible people let me watch I Spit on Your Grave.
Oh, yeah.
But that actually has spawned like a lifelong love of the rape revenge genre. I love that genre. And the reasoning being, like when I watched it when I was little, I didn't have like any like strong female role models. Like I was, I grew up in like middle America, and women just kind of like stayed at home and cooked dinner or whatever. And I didn't know what sex was or rape was or anything. All I saw was, here's this chick, these boys were mean to her, and she didn't go run into mom or dad. She didn't go, call the police. She took care of it herself, and that kind of, I think it really kind of molded a lot of who I am.
I never really thought about that. Because I was going to ask you why why for someone who you and I enjoy a lot of the same kinds of films, I think, but to an outsider, they wouldn't understand why you would want to watch a movie like I Spit on Your Grave or Cannibal Holocaust, but in a way, I think you sort of answered why somebody should watch those movies, because in a way, at least for that time, it sort of gave a different. For you, it gave you a different alternative. Like this is what a strong female could be. A lot, because you do see a lot of those kinds of characters in horror and in exploitation, and growing up, I'm sure you didn't really see a lot of those outside of the genre. So, and I don't know if I'm putting words in your mouth or not.
Nope. I wrote, I also write for, I do a little bit of everything. I write for Beyond the Void, longlivethevoid.com. And I actually wrote an opinion piece that I think that Alex King, my editor, was like a little apprehensive at first to post, but it was, should women support rape revenge movies? And it was obviously for that. And I think I make a pretty good argument, really. As least as far as I go.
You need to send me the link to that. I'd like to read that.
Okay.
That sounds very interesting. So we're wrapping up. Is any other links, accounts that you need to plug in terms of your various?
I think they're gonna be like so sick of me. So I'm not thinking we need to do anything more. But those are the main things. My YouTube channel, Not Quite Final Girl, my podcast, In the Mic of Madness, which also includes SOBs who love SOB. So those are my shot on video podcasts, and then the Embalmers Facebook group and Indiegogo.
Excellent. And we don't you ever say that. We are not tired of you. We are fascinated. You have fire. You're a lot of fun, and I hope you enjoyed yourself. And of course, you always have an invitation to come back on Count Drahoon's Feature of Fright if you ever have any more things you'd like to talk about.
All right, I appreciate it. I've had fun.
Not a problem.
And I'm not scared of you.
Okay, I was going to say, all right, good, problem solved. So on that note, spooks and spookettes, that's all the time that we have, but be sure to join me next time for yet another Feature of Fright. And as always, as far as things go, when things go bump in the night,
There are such things.